British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is in Israel today, meeting with the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the President, Isaac Herzog. Speaking ahead of that visit, Sunak said the deadly blast at the hospital in Gaza should be a watershed moment to avoid another dangerous escalation of the conflict. And after the deal to open the Rafah border crossing for limited humanitarian aid, he is set to urge the opening of a route to let British nationals trapped in Gaza leave. Here's more of what he had to say, speaking alongside the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, today.
We have here two forces. One is an axis of evil led by Iran through Hezbollah, Hamas, and others that want to bring back the Middle East to the Middle Ages, to an age of bondage and war and slavery and annihilation. And the other force is the forces of progress and humanity that want to push the Middle East into a world of peace and prosperity. We were on the cusp of expanding that peace, and destroying that move was one of the reasons why this action was taken. We have to resist it, and we have to win. Above all, we have to win.
Benjamin Netanyahu speaking earlier. He was speaking alongside the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. And for more on what the Prime Minister had to say, let's bring in Irris Makler in Jerusalem. Irris, what more can you tell us?
I can tell you that this is part of a convoy of world leaders who are arriving here. We had the German Chancellor 2 days ago. We had Joe Biden, the US President, yesterday. We have Rishi Sunak, the UK Prime Minister, today, and reports that Emmanuel Macron, the French President, will also be coming here. These are all people who have nationals who died in the attack on October 7th by Hamas militants on the south of the country. And what Rishi Sunak said was that he was coming to express support for Israel, solidarity with Israel, and what the Israeli Prime Minister said, in addition to thank you, of course, was that this was Israel's darkest hour. The world had stood by the UK during its darkest hour during World War II. He was grateful for that return of support during this dark hour for Israel. One thing that Rishi Sunak, the UK Prime Minister, did say was that he doesn't think that all of the people in Gaza, nor all Palestinians, are Hamas. He does say Hamas is a terrorist organization. He understands Israel's position vis-a-vis Hamas, but that's why he's pleased to see this announcement regarding humanitarian aid going in, so that the ordinary people of Gaza, so it will help the ordinary people of Gaza who are not supporters of Hamas.
Well, Irris, tell us a bit more about getting that aid in. Now, apparently it's a limited amount of aid from those trucks that are stuck on the Rafah border crossing that are going to come in, and not before tomorrow. Tell us more about that.
That's right. Our source for all this is actually US President Joe Biden, who gave this information to the journalists who were flying back to the journalists on Air Force One with him, who flew with him from here and went back with him, the Washington reporters. And what he said was this: they're sending an exploratory or an experimental 20 trucks to see how the whole thing goes. And the problem is they couldn't get them in today because the roads have to be, there are too many potholes. The roads aren't passable. So according to him, today is the day for Gaza to fix those roads. And then by tomorrow, if that is done, those 20 first trucks will go in with food, water and medicine, no fuel. There's been a whole problem with fuel and the suggestion that one of the UN agencies put on Twitter that Hamas had taken some of their fuel. They later removed that tweet from social media, but the Israeli forces believe that the Israeli Defense Force believes they removed that tweet, not because it wasn't true, but under pressure from Hamas. So no fuel at the moment. We did hear reporters asking Sameh Shoukry, who is the Egyptian foreign minister, will dual nationals and foreign nationals be able to leave after the trucks go in? And he said that if the crossing is fixed and is functioning, then yes, they will.
Irris, it's been a week now since Israel gave an ultimatum to people in the northern part of the Gaza Strip to move to the south ahead of this potential ground invasion. This still hasn't happened yet, 1 week on. Could Benjamin Netanyahu be changing his mind on that ground invasion?
Well, it's hard to know what he actually thinks, but from reports that I have seen, the answer is no. The question of timing is not exactly discussed. I don't know if they're waiting for all these foreign leaders to leave. Whether they want more civilians to leave the north of the Gaza Strip. But the way I read what's being reported in the Israeli media, there will be a ground offensive. I would say that's now almost certain. one of the questions that was being discussed with the US president was what will happen if a second front opens on the north. And I think what the US president was saying is do not launch a preemptive strike in the north. That's what all the reports from the cabinet meeting say. He said, let us help you with that. Let Washington help you with that. Don't launch a second front unless you are attacked. And if you are attacked, we'll help. You just concentrate on Gaza. You get Gaza done, if you like. And that's why I think that there will be a ground offensive. As to timing, I couldn't tell you.